Yo, what up nerd? So, I'm trying something different and recording this video in a mall. Now, this might be either a genius idea that will differentiate me from all the other audiophile channel, or a absolutely horrible idea if my microphone ends up picking up all the noise of all the people around me and all the fountain behind me. So, we'll just see. This is I'm doing this experiment with an IEM that's not like, you know, a very hype item, just so I can see if this might actually work. You know, experimenting with the format as long as there's good weather. It's like right now, living in Poland, we get basically like 3 to 4 months of good weather a year. So there's that. Alright, anyway, all of that stuff behind us. Today we're looking back at an IEM that I think did not get enough attention, which does not necessarily mean that it's very good, but it is definitely unique. Let me just explain. Today we're talking about ZEX. Sorry, we're talking about ZEX, the IEM from KZ, which is a Chinese company, which looks like this. And yes, I'm just gonna go get some B-roll later, but yes, you've seen it correct. They literally did name an IEM ZEX, and they put a fucking vagina on the faceplate. Like, do you not realize the market you're targeting? Like, if you're targeting the audiophile market, like, this is the first time most of those guys have ever seen a vagina. Do you know that? Anyway, all of this, just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Okay, so getting back into the review proper, right? So, you know, this is I think a $20-25 set from KZ, definitely on the, you know, super budget side, and it is surprisingly not a, you know, the usual one dynamic driver setup. It's not even a dynamic driver and a balanced armature. It's a dynamic driver and a magnetostat, which is quite unusual, and one of the reasons why I think this IEM is unique and worthy of attention. Now, there was some controversy about KZ with their drivers being fake or not working properly or playing very quietly. Now, with this set, from what I gathered, from what I've seen like other people doing teardowns, and from frankly my own listening experience, as will come obvious soon, I think the magnetostat in this set is definitely a real working driver, and you can hear it. That doesn't make this set good, but bear with me. Alright, so I'm not even gonna cover like the unboxing experience and the accessories in this video, because honestly it's the usual KZ unboxing. You get this tiny box which looks nice, but you know, it's a KZ box. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. And as for accessories, don't really get good accessories in the box. You get like a cable that's basically like the CRA cable worse, which is why, as you can see on mine, I just have the CRA cable. And you get like those weird new Starline tips from KZ, which just they suck. Like, I can't just find a way around it. Like, they're just bad. Like, they are so thin that you cannot really get a good seal with them. I actually liked KZ's old Starline tips, but those new ones, they're just bad. Okay, so all of this. Oh yeah, and the build quality. Aside from, oh yeah, and I just put foam tips on mine because I can actually get a seal reliably with those, and I just found they make the sound a little bit better, taming some of the peaks in the mid-range and treble, which we'll get to soon. And yeah, just so you can see, this is how this IEM looks in rose gold. I don't think this is a bad look, aside from the fucking vagina shape on the faceplate, which is like, why? But like, yeah, like, when it comes to build quality, it's just cheap plastic, like, as you expect on this price, right? Okay, so all of the non-sound stuff aside, let's go into the sound. Well, when it comes to the sound signature of this set, this is the other reason why I think this set did not get enough attention, because this sound signature is certainly unique. And by unique, I mean it is very warm, focused on the mid bass and the lower mid range, which is, you know, kind of like the opposite of most hi-fi sets nowadays that go for, like, you know, try to focus the bass in the sub bass and then like boost the upper mid range a fuck ton. This is like the opposite of that. So just for this alone, I think it's unique. Now, does it actually sound good? Well, actually, kinda yes. So let's start with the bass. The bass on the set is definitely the focus. You get a ton of mid bass. And actually a roll of sub bass, and this is noticeable in the recording. Like when you listen to music with those, the sub bass is definitely rolled off compared to the mid bass, and the bass is not of the greatest quality. There is some texture, but, like, you know, about what you would expect from the price, maybe even below that. When it comes to the quality of the bass, it is reasonably punchy. Though I think that's more to do with that, the sheer amount of the bass than the, you know, the dynamics of it. And the resolution, it's slow. Like, it's just, you know, slow, muddy bass. Oh well. When it comes to the mid-range though, this is where it gets interesting, because the mid-range on this set, like, yes, it is warm. And yes, the bass does bleed into it a ton. And yes, there is not much elevation to the upper mid-range. And yes, the technical performance is absolutely garbage. Like, the dynamic driver in this set is just not good. Like, there is no detail. Like, it's not like, it's like when you compare it to like something like the Sony EX15, like your average electronic store IEM, this is about the amount of detail you get here. There's like none. But I found this tuning of the mid-range actually, like, at first when I put them in my ears, I was like, oh god, KZ, you've done it again. But the more I listen to it, the more I like it. Like, for rock music and for, like, you know, it's like classic rock, especially like old stuff like from the 70s, like the Smiths. Like, if you ever heard the Smiths, they sound really good on the set. And some other artists like Megadeth, I tried a bunch of rock music and like acoustic music as well, and all of this sounds pretty good on the set. Like, I was genuinely surprised, like, despite this wonky tuning and despite like the lack of any kind of technical performance, how much I enjoyed this set. It's pretty decent. And yes, stock, there are some peaks in the upper mid-range and in the treble, which they didn't bother me. Like, I did listen to them with like the CRA tips and with like the spin fits, and it did not bother me too much. But I found that when you put foam tips on this set, you just, you know, tame those down a little bit, and you can just focus on what this set does best, which is the lower mid-range and the mid-bass. So there's that. Vocal reproduction in the set is pretty good. Like, both male and female vocals are definitely recessed in the mix, but they are both really warm. But that does not sound bad. Like, especially for male vocals, this set does sound pretty good. Okay, and now the treble is the most interesting part of the set, because like in the lower treble you get all of the same stuff that I talked around. Like, there's not much lower trebles, which contributes to the warm tuning, and there is no detail in this area. But when you get to like mid treble and upper treble, this is where the magnetostatic driver takes over, and this actually does things to the music which I found quite nice, to be honest. Like, it is like, it's so incoherent. Like, you hear, like, you can pinpoint where the crossover happens between the dynamic driver and the magnetostatic driver, because like there is no detail in the bass and mid-range, then you go to the upper treble, and then like boom, suddenly you get detail. The like bass and mid-range are like so slow, and then you get to the treble, and suddenly it's like it's super fast. It's like, it's so fucking weird, bro. Like it is so incoherent. But I found that like the magnetostatic driver actually does give it quite a unique timbre to the top end. Like especially when you listen to acoustic music, there is like this sort of shimmer and like this sort of sparkle to the music that you just that like it is weird, but it sounds nice. It's not like a natural sound, but it's kind of nice, to be honest. So all of that being said, let's just talk about the technicalities of the set and go into comparisons. When it comes to technicalities, we have no technicalities. Okay, now comparing to the CCA CRA. Sorry, I did this. But yeah, comparing to the CCA CRA, like it is just bonkers how much better of a set the CRA is. And I'm gonna be completely honest and transparent. In my original review of the CRA, I think I gave it 2 stars. And I was definitely harsh on that set. Like, it is better than I told you back then. I was definitely, back then I didn't like this V-shaped signature, and now I'm still not a fan. But like, I learned to sort of appreciate it. So on the CRA, you've got way more sub bass, cleaner mid bass. When it comes to the mid range, it's more even. Like it's not focused on the lower mid range like the ZEX is. And then in the treble, you get definitely more treble on the CRA, and I think the quality of the treble is better. Yes, like I think even the magnetostatic driver still is like it's on par with the CRA's driver for technicalities in the treble, and like the CRA just smashes the ZEX when it comes to technicalities in the bass and mid range. Like the CRA is just more dynamic, more clear, more detailed. It's straight up a better set for pretty much any genre. But when you listen to specifically rock and acoustic, like I listened to Nirvana's Unplugged album or Walk on Water acoustic by 30 Seconds to Mars, those songs do actually sound unique and really fun on the ZEX, but like, on balance, I would of course take the CRA. Next comparison that I did was against the Blon BL-03, and you can notice I gave the Blon a 5-star review, like even in 2022, and I think it's better than the CRA, and I think the CRA is better than the ZEX, so you can probably figure out how that went. But I actually did find that once again, like Blon is straight up better for every genre. Like for rap, you get, you actually can hear the beat and not just the vocals. For rock, like you get so much more detail, so much better instrument separation. But once again, that doesn't mean that I did not enjoy listening to the ZEX, right? Like, it's still an enjoyable set to listen to, just the Blon is better. Now the last set I compared it to was the Moondrop Chu. Now that one surprised me, because the Chu is hyped to 7 heavens right now. Probably not anymore, because the 700 came out, and I think that's where the hype train went. But like a few months ago, when you asked for an IEM under fucking $100, not even under 20, which is where it sits, like you ask for an IEM under $100, and some smooth brain will tell you to buy the Chu. Now, I'm gonna review the Chu very soon. It's coming up. The next review will be the Ibasso AM05, and then after that will be the Chu. So I'm gonna give it its full review very soon. But like just to summarize this comparison, they are kind of like the absolute opposite when it comes to tuning. Like whereas the ZEX focuses on the lower mid-range and the mid-bass, the Chu just does not have anything in that area. It has no lower mid-range. It has no mid-bass, and like I hear some people calling the Chu a neutral set. Like, excuse me, have you heard it? Like, people are making fun of Joshua Valor for saying the Chu sounds V-shaped to him, but I can see where it's coming from because it's got that boosted sub bass into like no mid bass and lower mid range presence. Like those areas are so far recessed in the mix, it's not even funny. And then like an overly boosted upper mid range and lower treble. I genuinely prefer the ZEX for most music. Like, okay, for some songs, like I listen to Drum Go Down by KDA and The Baddest by the same band. Okay, yes, for specifically K-pop, which is like already mixed with a ton of mid bass in it. Yes, the Chu just did a better job presenting the sound. But for like most other genres, so rap, rock, metal, anything, like even pop music, like Maisie Peters, what was the song? Not Friends, I'm Trying, that was the song. The ZEX just genuinely sounds better for this music, and it reproduces those, both the male and female vocals better. Okay, so in conclusion, I pulled out the ZEX just to like listen to it and give it a quick review, and I was surprised how much more I liked the set than I thought. I mean, it's still in C tier, but I would probably say it's like the best KZ set, which is not what I expected. I mean, the CCA CRA is probably better. Okay, sure. But like, it's C tier. It's pretty damn good. I mean, it's still 2 out of 5 stars in my rating, which means you shouldn't really buy it, but it is a strong 2 stars. And what I mean by that is like, no, I do not recommend this set because there's so much better stuff in the same price range. But if you already have like, you know, stuff like the SSR, the Chu, the Blon, and you just want, you know, something different, and if you already have like more expensive stuff, right? Because like, if you don't have better stuff, just don't spend too much money on budget fire, right? Just buy something better. But if you already have the better stuff, like, and just want to pick up something for novelty, I don't think that ZEX is a bad buy. It is genuinely something different that might surprise you. Alright, so that's it. I finished the review. Now you can do all the YouTube stuff, like this video, and fuck off. Alright, fuck off.
Ale na statywie nie może być sprzęt umieszczony, ponieważ dyrekcja tak ma...
Okej. Dobra, nie wiedziałem.
To jeżeli mógłbyś po prostu sobie ten statyw zdjąć.
Dobra, 10 sekund dokończę tylko. Dzięki.